Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now, man, do we have a lot to go through today? Obviously, if you have not had your head in the sand, there's been it's looking a little bit bleak in crypto. So I want to talk a little bit about that, why this is, what we can do about it, what should we be doing about it, how can we stay safe, a lot of that type of stuff. So anyway, let's not waste any more time. We do have a lot to go over today, so let's dive on right in. First off, we will take a look at the crypto bubbles, and yes, you are in fact reading this right. This is the move on the day. So I mean, it's a pretty gnarly move, kind of market wide. I mean, we can see a lot of ones that we talk about on the channel here. Jasmy down 25%, ICP 24%, Ethereum 20%. Probably let's see if we can find Solana here. While I'm looking for Solana, we can Solana only 8%, not too bad. We can see Virtuals 21%, Tau 23%. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're seeing some pretty nasty pullbacks all across the market here. We're going to go into a little bit as to why that could be. It's likely due, well, actually, it's almost certainly due to the tariffs. I do think we are getting maybe potentially a little bit overblown here. I also think we're seeing some really strong liquidation wicks coming out here. More on that here in a second. But yeah, things are looking a little brutal, and so obviously we'll look at some of the charts. Structures being broken kind of everywhere, and so obviously that's important for a lot of different reasons, and also most importantly, like what happens in alt season, right? Obviously I made a video about this yesterday, but we also want to talk about that just with some of the more recent dumps that we've seen of like how does this impact the market. So starting out, we can see with the market overview, open interest, volume, all this type of stuff. So volume up a little bit, open interest definitely coming down. We can see the exchange liquidation map basically moves all the way up to the upside, liquidating shorts because longs have basically been just completely decimated. I'm sure we'll see something very similar. Yep, something very similar here as well. A lot of shorts piling in because I think there's just overly bull or bearish sentiment within the market currently. We can also see that we've come back down into neutral, actually pushing fear at this point. I've mentioned this for several times for several weeks, probably even over a month on my channel, is that we were looking for a dip back into neutral. We did see one day where we dipped back into neutral about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it looks like we're seeing here. I did say that fear was potentially on the table. It's looking at this point in time like we probably will get there. We can also see on the RSI heat map, basically everything oversold. The entire market average is oversold. So, we got to be seeing some really oversold stuff for the market average to be getting there. Things looking pretty rough just generally, right? We'll get to Bitcoin here in a second. Bitcoin holding up okay-ish, but yeah, things looking pretty rough. Ethereum in particular, if we do look at Bitcoin liquidations, look at this. I mean, this is absolutely wild. $2.2 billion wrecked in the past 24 hours. Now, that's crazy. You want to know the even crazier part about that? We can look up here. It's up 314% on the previous day. 314% means that the previous day was about 800 million in liquidations. So we've seen almost $3 billion liquidated from the market here in just 2 days' time. I mean, that is an absolutely insane amount of money. Really pretty brutal things going on here. We can actually see the majority of liquidations coming from Ethereum and then others after that. So small altcoins really getting quite wrecked. Bitcoin, the third. I don't know that we really have almost ever seen Bitcoin in third place. Usually it's top 1 or 2. So this just kind of speaks to how this pullback is very heavily within the altcoin market. Ethereum, XRP, Sol, Doge, a lot of those types of things. Bitcoin, obviously, because it has the most liquidity, still having a bunch liquidated here, but not nearly as much as comparatively is what we're seeing in some of the other parts of the market. So, things looking brutal for sure. If we do look at the Bitcoin chart, like I was talking about, we can see that we're seeing not necessarily any sort of structure breaks on Bitcoin yet. We can see way outside of this Bollinger Band. So usually when we see this, it's not like we're going to see many days outside of the Bollinger Band. Currently, we did have a wick out here. We're seeing now potentially it's looking likely that we may see a candle close here. We did actually get all the way down to the bottom of this liquidity zone where we did see a wick down here to like the 91. Hard to say for sure if we will see a continued move to the downside or if this was just kind of that liquidation wick that pushed the market super far down. We can see RSI on Bitcoin very negative. Bollinger Band's very negative. By all intents and purposes, from a pure technical perspective, we can see that this is probably looking like a decent-ish time to buy. Right now, I'm not saying let's load up the truck and buy as much crypto as we can, because I do think there's a very realistic possibility that we could continue to go lower from here. If we do that or not, I'm really not sure. This to me feels like it could be like a pretty strong capitulation event. I mean, $2.2 billion liquidated in 24 hours. crazy stuff. So, that's something that I'm not super confident in, but I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of probably like DCA buys. Again, like I said, not going to be, going fully illiquid or allocating fully into the market, anything like that, just because I am prepared for all possibilities. And one of those possibilities could be, a dip down to this 85 range. Maybe it's even a further dip down to this 73 range. Hard to say for sure, but both of these do look to be a possibility. Maybe not necessarily likely, but definitely a possibility for sure. Now, if you are interested in trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, buying the dip, maybe you want to get in and pile in on the shorts because you think it's going to be continuing to go down, I do still have that link in the description below to BTCC. If you are looking to trade, they are doing that 10% bonus on first-time deposits, as well as the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. So definitely a good time to get in and start trading if you're looking to accumulate positions, things like that. Obviously, better time to be buying on a discount than buying the top. Obviously, this is not financial advice. You do need to make your own decisions there. But in my opinion, this is usually when I'm looking to buy, when things are up 100% on the week, not typically a time that I'm looking to get in. So we can see here, no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something that's important to you. Now, the thing I want to take a look at here, moving on, is Bitcoin dominance, because we can see, obviously, Bitcoin going down. Bitcoin not looking great at all from a price perspective. But the truly crazy thing here is that look at what Bitcoin dominance has done. This to me speaks to the sheer level of decimation or obliteration that we are seeing out of the altcoin market. Things getting absolutely crushed. This is a really strong move on Bitcoin, considering that the alternative, basically everything else that's not Bitcoin, is over $1 trillion, even still. So, this is a very strong move from Bitcoin. Really massive wick up here. We're seeing above 64% Bitcoin dominance. We'll have to see, maybe we even get up closer to the 70%. It's very hard to know how things are going to be playing out here short term. Obviously, we did see that wedge forming. The breakout is obviously very clear here, meaning that it's a good time to own Bitcoin relative to other cryptos. If we do look at the total two, we can see exactly that, right? The total two, I had been talking about for several months that outside of these two liquidity, or basically inside either of these two liquidity zones, I don't care. I'm not really interested, right? We have actually seen a break and a close below with a continued move down below this zone. So I do think it's very possible this structure of consolidation obviously has been broken. Now, what we do from here will be very interesting to see, right? Obviously, we've seen wicks down to like kind of the previous highs before this pump here at about $980-ish billion. Where we go if we, kind of settle here and find a level of support, possibly. Do we find a level of support kind of up here where we've been dancing around a little bit, at least recently? We do have a bunch of U.S. economic data coming out, so maybe that'll impact the crypto market one way or the other. But overall, we could see a massive dip, super punishing for the alts right now. But again, we have to still look, we at least barely are above some of the highs that we saw kind of in that lull before this really big pump. We are kind of below some of these that we were seeing, back here. And what is this? June, July, April, all this type of stuff. We are kind of dropping below some of these highs, but we are still above kind of the pre-market pump, or the pre-market lows, or I guess the pre-pump lows is what I should say here. We are still above those, again, at least for now, but the altcoin market definitely taking a massive hit. So one thing that I did want to point to with regard to the movements on Bitcoin, both historically, is kind of drawing that into what we've seen currently. I went to kind of get a look of what has happened historically, right? And so this website's actually really interesting. Let me go all the way back to the top so you can see. But this website is Trade That Swing. It's basically they put together a whole bunch of data on what Bitcoin has done historically. Now, I know this isn't the entire crypto market, but again, usually there's the best data on Bitcoin just because it's the biggest. It's the most well-recognized asset class. And I think, we can pretty comfortably say it does move the entire asset class. If Bitcoin goes up, kind of everything else goes up. If Bitcoin goes down, kind of everything else goes down. So what we can see here is they go over all of the different swings that we've seen within each different rally. So we can see here, this is the first rally. I guess this is overall. This is just kind of a TLDR of the whole thing. We can see the 2013 market. We saw 12 pullbacks from bottom to top, greater than 20%. The average pullback was 34%, median of 28. There were 13 rallies with an average of 104 and a median of 75. And this was followed by at least a 20% decline. So this is kind of like, a pump, drop back. And so that's what we've seen there. If we look here, 2014, we can see this was kind of like a false start rally. In 2015 to 2017, here we can see the 2015 bottom to the 2017 top. We saw 17 pullbacks greater than 20%, average 31, median also 31. Here we can see 18 rallies, average 94, median of 83. So this is very, very common within the crypto space. If we look at 2019, we can see, and this is just the 2019 market, we can see 2 pullbacks greater than 20% of the 2019 top, 29 and 29 being both the average and the median, followed by rallies of 105 and 125% respectively of the average and the median. So again, these drops happen a lot, right? And they happen on the way up. I mean, look at this chart. This chart looks fantastic beginning to end, but look at some of these massive hits that we take along the way up. Now, what we can see here is 2020 to 2021, same type of thing. We saw 7 pullbacks, 24% and 26% being the average and the median respectively, and then 8 rallies, 91 and 58%. So we could see very, very similar type of thing. And even here, I would say from top to bottom on this one, probably, 55% total decline before another rally. So we're seeing a lot of really strong pullbacks before we continue to see these really strong moves to the upside. We can see here, 2023 to 2024, bull market's ongoing. We've seen 7 pullbacks greater than 20%, 23% being the average and 24% being the median, followed by 8 rallies of 54% and 48%. So as we can see, Bitcoin, an incredibly volatile asset class. I think this kind of applies to altcoins as well, probably even more than Bitcoin, just because they pull back probably harder than Bitcoin. And so, this type of pullback obviously is very, very vicious. I mean, from top, let's say we take it here 1.6 to about 1, we're taking, what is that, like a 50% dip? I mean, that's a pretty nasty move. But if we do look at Bitcoin, we can see probably, top to bottom. Actually, they have the price thing. Let me just do the price range. We'll go top to bottom. This is only a 16.5% pullback. So, I mean, realistically, if we look at I'm forgetting the number already, 24%, we'll go on median here. 24% puts us down here. 23 puts us at like 85, that 85 level of support. 24 puts us down to like 82,000. So entirely possible that we do see a move back to this 85. Even down 73, we get closer to like a 32% drop. So I would say both of these very, 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 very possible for us to see. Same thing from here, top to bottom. If we look at the price range, let's see top, we'll go in here. Bottom here, 39% pullback, top to bottom. So this is not something that I would say is like, this is not super bad, right? I mean, obviously it definitely hurts and it does not feel good at all. But I think a lot of people are losing sight of the bigger picture, which is this can happen, and this does happen realistically in these markets. I mean, even if we look at like this one, top to bottom, and this realistically wasn't even like that big of a run up, we saw 43% pullback. I mean, we're in a less of a pullback right now than we saw in 2024. Now, obviously, 2024, there's the fair share of FUD to go around. But if you would have sold and capitulated because things were down 43%, look at what you would have missed on the backside. 128% almost full ride up. Now, obviously, people have rightly pointed out in my comment section that this situation is a little bit different, right? This is chalked up to be a little bit more than some market manipulation. Obviously, there are some underlying fundamental economic aspects moving here with regards to tariffs and some of those other things. So yes, I'm not saying throw all caution into the wind and just go, ape as much as you can into crypto. I'm not at all saying that. First of all, I'm not your financial advisor, so you need to make your own decisions and make sure that you can live with the decisions that you make because you're an adult. You have full control over your own money and how you spend it. But what I am trying to say here is we've seen this before, right? Like this is not an unprecedented event that nobody's ever seen. Obviously it hurts. I'm not particularly pleased with the move that's happening, but I'm also not particularly surprised either. And I think that's what's important to remember is we see this type of stuff happen. The most important thing that you need to understand when we're looking through this type of market is I'm particularly very pleased. I've told you guys before, I've got my eye on ICP. I'm looking to buy more ICP. If I can buy it on a discount, that's fantastic. I mean, I believe in it, so why would I not want to buy it cheaper than what it was 2 weeks ago? Same type of thing with Solana. I'll probably be buying into some more Solana on this dip, probably be buying into some more Ethereum as well. Ethereum's been hit pretty hard. A lot of these types of things I'm super happy with. But again, I could be wrong. I could look like a big loser and have an egg on my face, I guess, so to speak, if the market continues to go down. But again, I'm not mortgaging my house. I'm not getting a second loan on my car or anything like that. I'm just buying with some cash I already had stashed up. If it continues to go down, and again, I'm not even using 100% of the cash that I have stashed up, just a little bit. And then if it goes down again, I'll buy more. And if it goes down even again, I'll buy more. It's one of those things where if you look at kind of where the market's sitting, if Bitcoin goes back down to 73K, maybe I'm getting kind of like fully allocated into the market, right? If Bitcoin goes down to like 50K, maybe I'm like taking loans out because I'm like that convicted in my belief of Bitcoin, things like that. I would never do anything like that for altcoins, mainly just because I think I'm more risk averse than that. I know there are people who are going to do that and probably will and all that type of stuff. More power to them. I'm just not that like risk on. That's just kind of my own personal preference, because again, I know what works for me. And so, but obviously you need to make your own decisions. And so I think the biggest thing to take away from this is just to make sure that you are not letting your emotions take a hold of you, right? If you truly have conviction in what you're holding, probably not the best idea to sell on a dip. But again, if you need the liquidity like immediately, and there is the possibility that we could continue to see a further move down, maybe that's what you got to do, and kind of learn better for next time. But overall, in my opinion, I don't think this changes anything fundamentally. Again, we need more information before I can really give you a good answer or an idea of what we could be seeing in the future. If the economic data for, tariffs prove that things just kind of aren't working, then, obviously maybe we need to come back and take a second look at that. But I just don't think we're there yet. That to me is not something that seems like a big issue. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, please do give me a like and a subscribe, because it really, really does help me out, particularly with getting pushed further into the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, just want to rant into my comment section because you're mad that crypto is not going up only, all of that is welcome. Just feel free to do that. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.